Forgetting the whole equal rights, equal fights idea. Do you care when your girlfriend or wife hits you? Last night, I was at my mom's house, and my husband and I started roughhousing outside because that is just how we have fun. Usually, I shove him and he picks me up, tosses me around, and we generally wrestle. We are childish 20-year-olds. My sister asked my husband if he was okay with me hitting him like that. He said yes because my punches could not hurt him, even if I wanted them to. Then she said nobody in healthy relationships should put their hands on each other for any reason and that me hitting him was very bad. This made me feel sad. My husband and I talked about it when we got home, and he really does not mind. Do you think it is wrong? Is this a universal thing where couples do not roughhouse? Story 1. I think your sister's concern is well-founded, but her stance that any play fighting is bad is narrow-minded. Couples touch each other all the time. That's one of the benefits of a deep relationship, and whether it is purely romantic or more competitive depends on their dynamic. As long as you never feel endangered during your fights, have at it. And if you can throw your man off hell in a cell, plummeting 16 feet through the announcer's table, all the power to you. Story 2. If you are two consenting adults and both agree to it, then you do you. Just maybe not in front of your sister. Story 3. It is the intent behind it that matters. If it is playful, then it is fun and fine. If it is violent, malicious, or angry, absolutely not. Story 4. Intent matters. Play fighting is fine as long as both parties are happy to do so. It should stop the moment one party wants it to stop, regardless of the reason. It could be because they are hurt, panicked, or sleepy. It does not matter. If one side continues while the other wants it to stop, that is a problem. This is as simple as consent, although consent may not be simple for everyone. Physical beating with the intent to cause harm or take out anger is never acceptable. Story 5. Roughhousing is a very different thing from what people mean when they say a spouse hits their spouse. One is usually playful or fun. The other is literal domestic abuse, outside of a specific and very consensual situation between people who trust each other. Story 6. It sounds like your sister is repeating commonly accepted ideas without really understanding why those ideas exist. It is true that you should never be violent with your partner except when it is consensual. Roughhousing and domestic violence are two completely different things. Story 7. When it is playing, it is all right. As soon as it happens in an argument or out of anger, that is when it becomes a serious problem. Story 8. It's more about intent than anything. If we're playing around, I'm not going to get upset about much of anything she is going to do. I know she is not trying to hurt me, even if she does. It's like taking a bad pitch or stepping on your toes while dancing. Strike me in anger and we have a problem regardless of whether it hurt or not. Story 9. As long as it is just play and everyone has consented to what is happening, who cares? Love play wrestling. Women hitting men in any other circumstances is just as wrong as men hitting women. Story 10. Consent is the key part here. That is like someone saying that holding a woman down so she cannot move and having sex with her hard is rape when it is clearly not if that is what she wants. Story 11. My husband and I wrestle frequently. His mother used to criticize us for punching each other in the arm. We ignore her. We are happy. Story 12. There is a real and serious line between playing around and wrestling, having a goofy fun time with your partner, and hitting them in the face because they made you angry. A few playful slaps or hits while you are roughhousing are not the same as getting into an argument and deciding to hurt your partner. Story 13. Consensual violence is very different from abuse. There are many reasons adults might engage in consensual violence, including play, fun, kink, and competition. Story 14. Intention matters. My wife and I play fight, have tickle wars, and have a running competition to smack the other on the buttocks. If a strike was made in anger, no matter how hard, that would be the end of it. That is a line for both of us. On the other hand, I have been bruised in our play fights, but it was an accident and no one was upset afterward. Story 15. Play fighting is very different from actual violence. The first is fun if both are into it. The second is a reason to leave as soon as it is safe. Story 16. Anything consensual is acceptable. You both consent to it and enjoy it. So who cares what anyone else says? Story 17. I don't think people should be hitting each other. But as someone else said, consent is key. I will still watch a mixed martial arts match, for example. Story 18. Roughhousing is fine and fun. My girlfriend likes that I can bench press her and toss her into the air. But if she hits me out of anger, I will leave immediately. I would never lay a hand on someone first, and I would never make someone I care about afraid for their safety. I do not even like yelling. I expect the same from my partner. Story 19. Some girls enjoy a good play fighting session and some do not. If you are both having fun, then that is fine. Your sister probably just cannot understand the idea that you are both enjoying it. Story 20. Love play fighting with my boyfriend. We prat around all the time. When we were teenagers and just friends, yes, it was savage the way we sparred, but it was always playful, never nasty. Man, did we bruise. Now we are older, we run out of steam, but still try every now and again and laugh a lot in the process. Some people love to spar, some don't. I survived domestic violence, and that was not what I have with my current boyfriend. I've never felt fear when play fighting. I've never felt degraded or powerless. There's a huge difference, and I love the giggles we have when sparring. Story 21. If both spouses like it, who cares what anyone else thinks? Some people are just more physical than others. I am sure if my wife was a mixed martial arts fighter, there would be all kinds of play fighting or whatever because that would be the way she is wired. Other people are more cerebral and do not enjoy mixing it up. That is fine too. Story 22. It's about intent. If you are play wrestling, slapping during intimate moments, or doing a joke where both parties are in on it and understand that a small slap on the wrist is part of that joke, then of course it is okay. However, if the intent is to cause harm, assert dominance, or is done in an attempt to create distance, like pushing someone away from you, in a situation where the conflict or intended result could have been achieved without physical force, then that is not okay. If you have a mutual understanding with your partner that you can do play fights, and the fights are mutually understood to be just a game, then the degree of force is a minimal issue. For example, I would be okay with pushes or shoves hard enough to knock someone over, as long as they are okay with it and understand it is not done with intent to harm. If you are hitting him as part of a play fight or wrestling and he is okay with it, then that is fine. But if it is done with intent to harm or in an attempt to cause pain, then that is crossing a line. Story 23. I came from a family that roughhoused. My mom would try to rugby tackle me. I don't think my wife fully understood at first, but she has gotten into it in the 15 years we have been together. We have both accidentally hurt each other. She has drawn blood with a bite, and I have given her a nasty sprain, but we play hard sometimes. She has been suplexed onto the bed. We have fun, and sometimes it turns into a different kind of fun. Story 24. There is no problem as long as it is for play only and not to release hidden frustration with your partner. The emotional scene needs to be clear. Story 25. From a relationship perspective, if it is truly fun and consensual between you two, I do not think it is necessarily bad. From a how could this go wrong perspective, I have always declined as a man when my partner wanted to wrestle aggressively because I knew I was one false telephone call to the police away from a domestic violence charge. Forget that. Story 26. Consent is essential. My wife and I enjoy playful roughhousing and play fighting together. Even so, we are careful not to hurt each other. She may use 70% of her strength, while I may use only 25% of mine. For the most part, we keep this private. We prefer not to have others judging us as your sister did. Story 27. Consent is always more important than what everyone else thinks. Is your husband okay with how you roughhouse him? Then it is okay. Are you okay with how your husband roughhouses you? Then it is okay. If it goes too far and one of you realizes, yes, that was too much for me, then you have a discussion about it. Hopefully, you both respect each other's limits. Story 28. Like most things in a relationship, normal is decided by the two of you. That's fine. My girlfriend used to slap me playfully sometimes. I would bear hug and squeeze her to the brink of death with a massive smile. It was all good. Story 29. What happens between two consenting adults is none of your nosy sister's business. Provided you are both honest with each other, she should mind her own business. Story 30. It's one thing doing it playfully like how it sounds you are doing. It's another to do it when you are angry and it is done maliciously. Sounds like you are doing it for fun, not out of anger. Besides, he is giving it back the same way. Story 31. Okay, there's nuance here that is important. It doesn't sound like you are roughhousing from a place of anger or trying to hurt one another. That will still happen sometimes when you roughhouse, but the intent and enthusiasm are important. As an aside, I assure you can and probably have hurt your husband. The whole "you can't hurt me no matter how hard you try" mindset is what concerns me. He may not feel comfortable relating when he is in pain or may feel like he can't acknowledge his pain because of how boys are often raised. He can feel touch, right? Then he can feel pain. I have been physically abused by a girlfriend before. She would pinch, slap, or punch when she was feeling bad feelings. Her intent was to hurt me, and I knew that. I didn't always feel comfortable saying that I was hurt because it felt like admitting a personal failure. There was a voice in my head that said, "Girls can't hurt you. Stop being weak." I got out of that relationship eventually, and it wasn't until I looked back at it with a therapist that I realized the truth of that dynamic. There is no hitting in my house. It works for us, but I don't know you, and as always, your mileage may vary. Story 32. Play, fighting, and wrestling are common bonding exercises. It is all about intent. If you are hitting him because you are upset and unable to emotionally regulate yourself, you have a problem. If you are hitting him because you both think it is fun and playful, it is fine. Story 33. It is always about consent. If you have consent to do what you are doing, then it is not assault. Boxers and mixed martial arts fighters are an extreme example of this. Some people never want to be hit or roughly handled in a relationship. For those people, it would be wrong. Some people want it done, in which case it is right. Keep in mind, consent involves not just the act but also the context. A mixed martial arts fighter cannot attack an opponent outside of a ring and official match because the consent was specific to the scheduled fight. Similarly, if you punch your husband in anger because he left the toilet seat up, that would be wrong because he has not consented to physical assault in that scenario. It sounds like what you and your husband do is just fine because you both have consented to it and it stays within the realm of that consent. If you are going to regularly roughhouse, you should pick a safe word so you can clearly communicate when to stop. Consent can be withdrawn at any time, so you both need a way to clearly state that right now you are not in the mood for it. Story 34. It's great if you find a partner who truly enjoys it. I see nothing wrong with that. Congratulations. This is one of those equal levels of sensitivity things. My wife and I don't roughhouse with each other, and we didn't as kids either. As a kid, I always hated random roughhousing. I don't mind contact sports. It's not about the contact. It's the randomness and surprise factor. My entire nervous system reacts with annoyance if someone randomly jabs me just to make me jump. Though obviously many people mutually enjoy it. My youngest son, 4 years old, has the nervous system for this. He always reacts happily if I playfully poke or tickle him. Sometimes I give him a gentle poke just to be amazed and relieved that he's not jumpy like me. I even have to mentally prepare myself to be playful in that way with him since I know he likes it so much. Apparently, this is strongly influenced by the nervous system we are born with. I hope he can find someone who matches his sensitivity level like I have. The problem is the targets in roughhousing often react the same way whether they enjoy it or not. So the instigators learn to misread these signals from an early age and become a menace to every person around them who doesn't like this. I hate these people. I coach my kids to treat unwanted roughhousing like the bullying it is and to respond accordingly. If a classmate keeps jabbing at them as a joke, they know they will make me proud if they sharply swing their forearm down at that hand or finger that keeps invading their personal space. Story 35. There is a clear line between rough, which may feel rough for you but less so for him, and playful wrestling as opposed to attacking your partner because he loaded the dishwasher incorrectly. Story 36. This is very relationship dependent, and roughhousing is very different from hitting. Whatever you and your partner are okay with, As long as it is not in anger and does not involve physically hurting or intending to physically hurt or control someone, you do you. Story 37. Some people just have a huge stick up their backside. I have dated people who were upset because I used to joke and tease my children. They said I would give them some complexes. Instead, they turned out to be children who were able to handle teasing at school and respond positively, rather than always taking everything so seriously. Story 38. It is about the intent with me. I can tell a love tap from an I will end you tap. The first is play wrestling. The second will get you thrown into a hedge bush. Story 39. Roughhousing is part of the inner child's playtime. So there is nothing wrong when it is in the spirit of fun. Some people are very strict about physical contact and cannot understand how it can be healthy. As long as everyone involved is aware of the difference between play and a real fight, then go for it. I have personally found it to be a brilliant way to blow off steam and a catalyst for leading fun times to more intimate experiences. Story 40. Girlfriend, I just wrestled with my husband a few days ago while we were drunk with our friends, and then that couple wrestled too. It is whatever you two want in your relationship. It is fun to be silly and play fight, and your sister is not a part of your relationship, so she would not understand. I believe it is completely okay as long as you both know you are playing and have no intentions to hurt each other. Sounds healthy and fun to me. Wishing you the best wrestling matches and cuddles ever. Story 41. I don't go along with horseplay. It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt or it goes too far. Only put your hands on each other in a kind way. Story 42. Your sister spends too much time on the internet and is likely to have many problems in her relationships. You and your husband are fine. Your sister cannot distinguish between play and abuse. Story 43. I would say that context matters. If it is consensual, involves both of you laughing, giggling, and being playful throughout the event, no problem. If the event stems from anger, an argument, or just straight-up malice, big problem. Also, as a side note, your husband is kind of wrong about you not being able to hurt him even if you tried. Our strength is actually reduced when not in times of extreme stress and danger to prevent us from injuring ourselves. However, add adrenaline or substances such as crack cocaine or methamphetamine, and many of those safeties come off. We are able to push our bodies to the extremes. That is how you get stories of people lifting cars off other people, bending car door frames to get others out of burning vehicles, or why it can take multiple police officers to arrest and handcuff someone who is under the influence of stimulants. Story 44. There is nothing wrong with two people who both consent to roughhousing. If you both wanted to get in a ring and box each other, there would be nothing wrong with that either. The problem is when it is not mutual combat. Your sister's perspective honestly damages actual domestic violence by defining things that are not domestic violence as it. There is a huge difference between play fighting and abusing your spouse. Story 45. When it is consensual, it is normal. My coworkers and I would often engage in playful fights that mainly involve shadowboxing and the occasional game of whack-fuck. Story 46. Hitting someone out of anger is unacceptable. Hitting someone in self-defense is acceptable. When two parties are playing around and both are enjoying it, it is their business. Your sister seems unable to understand context or nuance. She probably spends too much time on TikTok. Story 47. This is like someone who sees two dogs playing and biting each other and gets all worked up as if they are seriously trying to hurt each other. Story 48. However much you are comfortable with if it is actually just roughhousing. To me, if there is no anger behind the action and no one feels any pain from it, then no harm, no foul. Story 49. I am really big on touch, so I love a good play fighting session. As long as you are both into it and nobody is getting hurt, go nuts. Story 50. I would love a girlfriend who would play rough with me. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It would be a lot of fun. Story 51. My wife and I roughhouse all the time. We also throw our son around, wrestle him, and act like maniacs. It's fun. You just have to stop if somebody does not like it anymore. But within that boundary, it is hard to see what the problem is. Also, the vast majority of the time when people say nobody does something, they are just expressing some weird repression they have themselves. Story 52. I am the first in my family line trying to break the cycle. One of the few rules I have in my marriage and family is that nobody puts hands on each other in anger. Ever. Play wrestling is different, but if it is done in anger or frustration, absolutely not. No, not at all. Story 53. It really depends, especially on the reason. What you did is consensual fun, and that's all right. My ex could not hurt me either. I still hated it when she smacked me when she was annoyed. It is disrespectful and intended to hurt, which is enough to be unacceptable. Story 54. If you both think it is funny, then disregard anyone else's opinion. My girlfriend and I spar with boxing gloves in the house, messing around, and I let her fully try to hit me. Story 55. In my opinion, if both people agree to it and will stop if either communicates that they do not agree, then it is generally fine. I doubt I would want to be in a relationship where either my partner or I hits the other, but I am not naive enough to think my opinion is universal. If both partners agree and neither is getting seriously hurt, what right does anyone else have to tell you how your relationship should be? Story 56. There is nothing wrong with that as long as you have well-defined boundaries and are mindful of each other's limitations. For example, if Hafthor Bjornsson were married to Jodi Amge, it would be really problematic. However, assuming you are of similar size and are being careful not to hurt each other, there is no problem. Story 57. If it is not done with malicious intent, and neither of you does something stupid to hurt the other, I do not think it is a problem. I grew up in a family where we all roughhoused with each other regularly, so my perspective is that it is just a way of showing affection. My brother, cousins, and I usually end up wrestling at some point at almost every family gathering we attend. Every woman I have ever dated has liked to try to push me a little and then get picked up. I assume it is because I am strong but gentle. Story 58. Not everyone is in a relationship where roughhousing like that is seen as acceptable. It absolutely does not mean that it is bad in yours. Your husband seems comfortable with it and may even enjoy it. That is really the only thing that matters. Do it in front of other people at your own discretion. My girlfriend and I both have a very off-color sense of humor and enjoy teasing each other when we can. We have fun with it. However, I can understand how someone unfamiliar with this kind of interaction might think we were disrespecting each other rather than joking and having fun. Story 59. If there is consent, then it is completely different. It is like telling two boxers to stop fighting because violence solves nothing. Wrong place, wrong time. Story 60. My wife and I train mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu together, and for a while we were training for professional fights. We sparred at about 80 to 90% intensity, and yes, her punches, kicks, and joint locks hurt a lot. So no, it is not wrong. Recreational, consensual violence can be an incredibly powerful bonding agent because it requires a great deal of trust. Honestly, the intensity often leads to a lot of really passionate sex. We did, however, get a lot of concerned looks from onlookers when we were sparring in public parks. Ground and pound looks pretty bad outside the context of a gym. Story 61. Playing is one thing, and as long as you both agree, carry on. But if the hitting is not part of play, that is a big red flag. Story 62. Seems perfectly normal to me because there is consent and it is clearly playing. It is different if it becomes an expression of emotion. Story 63. I wrestle with my wife all the time. However, I made it a point early in the relationship to keep playful hitting off limits. This is not because her hits hurt, but because I am terrified of fighter's reflex. Story 64. Oh my God. My girlfriend and I just playfully fought in bed last night and had a blast. As long as there is no ill intent, how you express love, compassion, and fun for each other depends on your relationship and respecting one another's boundaries. If you both enjoy play fighting, then play fight. Story 65. I like roughhousing. It is a fun way to release energy. I am not saying it is bad energy, but sometimes you just need a physical release. I would imagine this is human restlessness. Anyway, I am a big fan. Story 66. Your sister is being uptight. If she were a stranger in public putting her hands on you, of course, that would be a problem. But as long as you know she is playing, then it is your business. Story 67. Even if you could not hurt him, hitting him during an argument would be wrong and abusive. This is definitely not the case here, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with play fighting. Story 68. I had a past long-term girlfriend who was physically abusive and a wife who finds play wrestling with me a turn-on. I am a big rugby player and could not be even mildly hurt by either of them. I felt the difference. The hate and drive to humiliate from the abusive one, and the playfulness of my now wife. I just have to watch out when she starts play fighting my friends. Story 69. The idea that you could not hurt him even if you wanted to is definitely nonsense. Even a child is strong enough to break noses or gouge eyes. That said, whether play fighting is okay really depends on consent. If it is something you both enjoy, that is fine even if there is some risk of injury. Many people enjoy combat sports. This is not the same as trying to hurt someone because you are angry at them. That is what you should not be doing. Story 70. It is called consent. If I say something was too much, she needs to listen. Otherwise, come at me. Sounds fun. Story 71. It is playful, and if both people do not mind, then there is nothing wrong with it. However, in a situation where things are heated and both are physically aggressive towards each other, that is not acceptable. Story 72. As long as you are communicating your relationship with each other, why does it matter how you show love to one another? Story 73. Wrestling is one thing. Slapping one another's buttocks is another. Actually hitting one another? Oh boy, that is just not acceptable. Story 74. My partner and I roughhouse all the time. We do not hurt each other. That is the main point. It happens sometimes, but it is between us. Everyone else can ignore it. We do not care what others think. Story 75. I dated an abusive woman for a couple of years, so I don't like any sort of roughhousing unless there is appropriate context and consent for it. Sounds like you two have a unique situation, and as long as you are both on board, it is fine. There is a line where play fighting turns into abuse, however, so be mindful of that. The moment either of you says stop, and the other person continues, it is no longer playful and starts crossing into abuse. Communicate clearly and make sure there is consent. Story 76. I do it carefully to teach my wife how to inflict damage in different positions when at a disadvantage. Story 77. It depends. Is it the last scoop of vanilla ice cream or the last pack of gummy bears? In the former case, I would be willing to tackle my grandmother on anything but solid concrete. If not, then I will not be the one to initiate with anyone, but I will play along. Story 78. If it is in jest and both parties are playing along and having fun, I see no problem. Unfortunately, my boyfriend does not like to roughhouse as much as I do. Story 79. My cousin, whose age I can never remember because I always think of her as little, freely admitted that she and her husband wrestle all the time. There is nothing wrong with that. I only felt slightly uncomfortable because that sounds like an adult bedroom activity to me, and I do not particularly want to think of my little cousin that way. However, that is my problem and not something to make her feel bad about. Story 80. If you hit from anger, stress, frustration, or with intent to harm or manipulate, then it is unhealthy. Play fighting, especially for the weaker party, can easily cover any of those motives. Once you get comfortable hitting each other, things can escalate very quickly in a heated moment or slowly increase over time. Men are sometimes used as literal punching bags for their spouse's emotional needs. Story 81. My fiancé, age 30, and I, age 31, are the same, always scrapped, as we call it. About 3 years in, we were having a little scrap, and her head was hanging off the bed as she lay down with her feet on the pillows. I, having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and no critical thinking skills, proceeded to sit on her head at full pace like I was dropping into an office chair. 3 months later, her neck was still injured. The hospital said she narrowly escaped being paralyzed for life. We go a little easier now and have a curfew of 10 p.m. It's all in good fun, as long as you both know it's playful, and overstepping that boundary is immediately apologized for and reconciled, and then you're good to go. Story 82. It is all about the intention behind it. My ex used to roughhouse, but she did it to humiliate me in front of friends and family as a look what I can get away with thing. You clearly are having fun together, so it is perfectly normal for you to do it. Story 83. Let me put it to you this way. I saw a clip in a video the other day of a husband telling his wife to plug in a power cable as they were trying to charge a car battery. She was clearly hesitant, and when she finally did, he faked getting shocked. When he revealed he was fine, she gave him a quick whack, hitting him in the groin as he dropped. After a brief laugh, she moved over to check on him, and he grabbed her to the ground, beginning to wrestle and tickle, leading to laughter. To me, that kind of thing shows a level of happiness that only really comes from a relationship. If you are in a similar situation, keep doing it as long as it is something you are both comfortable with. We spend too much time worrying about what other people think, and that prevents us from doing what makes us happy. Story 84. Play fighting is fine if it is just a punch on the shoulder or something similar. I would be upset if I was struck in the face or groin. Hitting in anger is absolutely never acceptable in my view. Unfortunately, many women seem to expect to be able to hit men without consequences. Story 85. For me, none. I am gay and at most, I might playfully torment my husband by touching him with my foot or lightly touching him for the tickle effect. I never hold him down, hit, or do anything like that. I do not like when anyone does it to me because it triggers a fight or flight response, so I do not do it to him. I tend to be more protective, which sometimes annoys him. Story 86. Anything is fine as long as both parties agree to it and are having fun. I also agree with your husband about not hurting him. Some people say equal rights, equal lefts, but the reality is that there is a significant strength difference between most men and most women. I am not going to hit a smaller woman with full strength, even if she is coming at me, because the danger she poses is much smaller, and she likely understands that herself. The only time I would hit someone much smaller or weaker than me with full strength is if they had a weapon. Story 87. I do not partake in any. It is a dangerous game that starts fun but could easily lead to hurt feelings or physical injury. I had brothers, so I learned this lesson without having to bruise my partner. The fun is not worth the risk. Story 88. It's subjective, but to me, none. That's my boundary. It's a good test of character, and if someone doesn't respect it, then I know. It is especially relevant if someone mocks you as too soft or sensitive. Story 89. Most women struggle to differentiate between adults and infants. Infants need you to advocate for them. Adults generally do not. There is a line between caring and interfering, and you would think it would be easy to differentiate, but most people are not very perceptive. Story 90. I wish my wife did things like this with me more often. Anyone who judges you for being best friends is just a hater. Story 91. I notice you did not mention your sister's husband. Is this because she is never married and citing her imagined ideals of a relationship? Married and attempting to make your marriage fit her definition of healthy? Divorced and projecting her failed relationship onto yours? Story 92. Fun as heck. Don't let it escalate to actual slams and punches. It is a lot of fun and can help build trust between you and your partner. Story 93. There's a difference between hitting each other and playing around. No one should be hitting their significant other, but playful fighting is not the same as hitting them. As guys, we grew up fighting with friends for fun, which could end up getting hurt, but we were not hitting out of anger, so it was not the same as bullying each other. Story 94. Everyone is different. I knew a couple where the wife considered the hypothetical of getting tickled by her husband as grounds for divorce. Her words. Meanwhile, my wife and I have tickle fights and I lose every time. As long as both of you are truly okay with what is going on, I guess what you do for fun is not a big deal. Story 95. We play wrestle and then there are the struggle snuggles, of course. No big deal as long as it is all consensual and fun. Story 96. Every relationship manages their physicality differently, but there is a matter of private and public display. For example, maybe I just did a project around the house or yard for her and us. She comes to take a look before I put everything away. She says, "Looks great, babe," gives me a friendly pat on the back, and smiles as she walks away. That is motivating as a man, and I am almost 60 years old. Still fires me up. Story 97. As long as you are not hurting each other. He says he cannot hurt you, but trust me, almost all women can give a good shot to the face. Story 98. You missed an opportunity to talk about consent. Your sister sounds younger from your comments, and it may be something she is very confused about because people don't talk about it. They just assume that everyone figures it out automatically, even though humans aren't born knowing how to protect themselves or understand their needs to survive. As for roughhousing, to each their own, but it would be wise to monitor your audience. They have as much right to not be exposed to your roughhousing as you have to engage in it. What is roughhousing to you might be innocent, but don't expect everyone to automatically know that and stay silent. Story 99. My girlfriend hits me, and I hit her back lightly in a playful manner. We roughhouse, and it is fun. It all depends on the relationship. Some people do not even like playful banter. Personally, I do not think it is a bad thing as long as no one is getting hurt and both people consent to it. Story 100. Playful roughhousing is fun when both people are comfortable with it, but I would rather not make it a regular activity. Women seem to bruise and get hurt more easily, and I would rather not have to explain to someone, I swear I didn't mean to give her a black eye. We were just playing. Story 101. Nobody has the right to tell you what is okay in your relationship except you and your husband. You are okay with it, he is okay with it, there is no problem. Let your sisters and all opinions you read here, including mine, be exactly that, the opinions of others which should have no bearing on what makes you and your husband happy in your relationship. Story 102. It's fine but not really in public. As you can see, people can and will construe it incorrectly. Guys like roughhousing. It's how we play, and it's nice to have a partner into it. It relates to physical touch being a common love language for men, but just be aware of who you do it in front of. He may give you a playful smack in public, and someone might think he is abusive to you, not knowing the context. Good consensual roughhousing is healthy for a couple. It's our society that's not healthy. Just be aware of it in public spaces, that's all. Story 103. If you are both into martial arts or met in a class, hypothetically, you would not be allowed to spar anymore. It is fine as long as you have no malice behind it. Your sister is just being timid. Story 104. My ex-girlfriend and I were like that, but then she began to cross the line. I was still bigger and stronger, but was taken aback. I did not want to fight back at the same level because I did not know where it would lead, so it was not cool. That was when I wanted to stop play fighting. In retrospect, maybe that was her expressing problems she felt in her life or our relationship. Anyway, not long afterward, we broke up. In the future, I do not know how much roughhousing I would want. I guess it depends. It can get dangerous and maybe mask what should be talked about. Story 105. I don't like it happening at all, personally. I'm a black belt and already fully understand what getting hit hard feels like, especially since women are generally less effective at restraining themselves. I have had back surgery earlier in life. Even if I wanted to roughhouse, I'm not willing to risk going through that again. I was raised in a household where you never put your hands on someone, partner, children, siblings, etc. So roughhousing feels wrong to me, and I wouldn't appreciate my partner trying it with me. However, I would absolutely have an adult discussion about it if it came up. If both parties are consenting adults who like what is happening and know each other's boundaries, and they back off immediately when the other is no longer enjoying it, then no harm is done. The key word here is consent. If stop, no, don't, or a preferred safe word is respected, there is no harm done. Story 106. My wife is half my weight and a lawyer. It is best to hit a cabinet or wall in anger. Any roughhousing we do is to train her how to defend herself or before private time. Story 107. My wife and I have never roughhoused and have no desire to. We have been together for 20 years, married for 10. That is not for us, and we would not want our children to see that it is acceptable to hit each other. It is not a universal behavior, but definitely juvenile in my opinion and not our preference. Story 108. Sounds like your sister needs a lesson in what context means. For what it's worth, if you are roughhousing and having fun, to me that is a sign of a healthy relationship. Story 109. My girlfriend threw something at me in frustration once, and it was made perfectly clear that if she did that again, she would face serious consequences. It has not been an issue since. Story 110. Don't think it's unhealthy at all. Admittedly, an ex I had who wrestled was normally a bit more amorous, at least in conclusion. She did join the army and was more of a tomboy than a girly girl, so yeah. Honestly, it's probably more healthy than unhealthy. It shows respect and trust, as you know each other's strengths and trust the other not to go beyond boundaries. Story 111. I am an adult and I would not hit anyone, even playfully. It is not cool with me and I do not like to play fight. I do not think it is a good habit to get into. Consenting adults should be able to do what they want, though. Story 112. No hitting, no striking, no punching. Absolutely no play fights. Wrestling is foreplay if she is into it. Tone is important. I get very upset if I get hit by my significant other. Responses have varied, but I usually just leave. I had a petty revenge moment in one instance and made a huge scene in public when my ex slapped me in front of her friends. I was happy to embarrass us both. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.